All right, hello everyone. We're back, Cash to Capital, with our second market update. A lot of things have happened since last time we made a video, and what else you got?
All right, welcome back, folks. Well, first off, we want to start. We were saying AI, 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 and now things have changed where we just had big tech earnings, and a lot of the big tech companies have stated in their earnings that they're going to keep spending a lot and for AI stocks, which is great. However, a stock like Meta came back significantly because their spend, although they are performing and they are performing double digit growth, their spend has been astronomical. So a lot of times investors, sometimes they feel like things have hit a wall in terms of like where their revenues and their earnings have, say, revenue earnings are 22% and their spending's at 18% for AI. Now, Meta spending is like at 30% and their revenues are still at 22%. So now their spending is more than what they're bringing in. So that made investors really worried. And that's why Meta took a dive. But the other big tech earnings like Google, Apple, who am I missing? Nvidia was good, but they've run up
AMD,
so much,
Microsoft.
and we're at a seasonal time where just before the Santa rally, where things are usually pretty kind of slow, but kind of working its way back up. But we're seeing healthcare start to move up, so that's not a great sign for the market because healthcare is usually like a safe play people go into. So now we're seeing healthcare outperform, and that's a little bit of worrisome. So, couple things in the market. Be careful. I tell people with AI all the time that had AI plays to take some off the table. It's run up so much. If you made money in APLD, if you made money in RGTI, if you made money in any other AI stock, take a little bit off the table, let it come back down 20, 15, 20, 25%, and then jump back in if you're a trader. If you're an investor, then just keep dollar cost averaging what you can in.
Yeah, that's true. And if you've been holding any AI stocks recently, your portfolio's gonna be up because the AI trade's been going crazy. But I want to talk about Meta a little bit because I have a different perspective on this, and I think I understand Zuckerberg's thought process.
Go
I
ahead.
think back in like 2022, Meta took a similar dive when they had a lot of capex spending around like the metaverse, and that was like the whole big thing. That was Zuckerberg's next big thing, and then the metaverse didn't really amount to anything.
Right.
But but now I think it's a little bit different when it comes to AI because like best case scenario, there's a lot of demand around super intelligence, and then all this capex spending is worth something. But worst case scenario, all this capex spending around AI could be used to help their internal operations. So I think Meta is actually a good stock to buy now after it took a dip in the earnings.
Yeah, I agree. I think all these companies are their capex is going to grow because they're actually trying to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. They're trying to keep up with the Googles and the Amazons and all the other big tech companies that are actually going to spend, spend, spend. The only company, which is pretty interesting, that hasn't spent crazy on AI is Apple. And I think that Apple is going to be a very interesting play. If there's a play that I think that I would jump in, it might be Apple because Apple has so much cash on the side, and Apple really hasn't looked into acquiring or buying another company or making a deal with another AI company yet. But I think that they may be a play that you might want to look at because they have so much cash on the side, and there's so many companies out there that could enhance what they're doing in terms of AI.
Yeah, that's true. I think because Apple's not involved in AI as much, I feel like they've been kind of scrutinized over the past year. So it'd
Yeah,
be interesting to see where that goes.
absolutely, absolutely. You had a new play. Tell me about the new play you bought. Your new purchase.
I'm gonna bring this up.
I think also one thing that happened was AMD had its earnings and it sort of came back to earth a little bit. I think AMD, when they report, they always guide sort of conservatively, so that really doesn't help them. But as you can see, I got Jim Cramer in the background. He loves AMD. Actually, the lightning round is going on right now. But he loves AMD, and he always says that like they guide conservatively. But he loved the quarter. I love the quarter, and I think that they are a company that any dips you should buy.
Yeah, I think with AMD, it ran up so much going into earnings with that deal with OpenAI. They actually had a great quarter. They raised guidance for Q4. They beat on all the major metrics. But, expectations were so high after that deal with OpenAI, it's hard for the stock price to go up after that. So I
Yeah,
think the pullback was definitely healthy. And I also think on a PE ratio basis, that was actually pretty pricey where it was at before the earnings. So,
that's a fact.
how you can see it?
Yep.
Yeah, so Lumen is a stock I just bought. I bought a couple shares literally like right before this. But yeah, this is a company I found out about a little while ago. But I actually really like it. So if you look at, the past like 5 years, a couple years ago the stock price was, around like $2, $3. And they actually had a new CEO, Kate Johnson, who I really like. The stock's run up, $10, $11 a share now. And I think Lumen is positioning itself now with the new leadership to, be really like the backbone of, the AI economy. So when you think about like AI, and like AI needs data, and the data needs data centers, and these data centers need to be connected. So Lumen provides solutions for every part of that process. Yeah. So Lumen, pretty much what it is a telecommunications company, but it's also positioning itself, like I said, as a lot more AI applications. So I think this is something I'm being very bullish on long term, not so much in the short term.
You like how they're executing. You like the leadership.
Yeah.
Okay. All
And
right.
I like the positioning, because I think with like telecommunications companies, it's a lot different than like under like high tech industries. I feel like with a lot of telecom companies, it's more like they're just trying to outlast each other.
Right.
There's not really that much innovation going on. But Lumen is like the one stock within the industry who's actually trying to innovate and position themselves, for the future.
Sounds good. That's all for the market update. I mean, there was a couple things that happened, sort of macroeconomic wise, in terms. Trump signed a bill today to lower drug prices with Eli Lilly and I think Novo Nordisk for their GLP drugs. And it's so funny because you would think you would think that they would lose revenue because drug prices are lower, but their stocks actually go up. So it goes to show you sort of the idiosyncratic nature of the market, and how when you think things supposed to make a stock go down, it'll go up, and vice versa. So we had that. Plus we had Zoran Mondani up in New York winning the election. Not sure what that's going to do to the market, but I know there was a lot of outrage with that. We're native New Yorkers, so I mean, we know a lot of our family members up there are hurting, so I think how he won, he sort of, tapped into that hurt. I don't know if he can do all the things that he said he can, but I just know that people are hurting, and that's what they're looking for, somebody that's going to help them. So I don't know, New York. These times are crazy, sort of like a polarizing figure, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, very interesting. I think one thing we didn't talk about last week there was a rate cut. We were supposed to talk about that, but we
Oh,
didn't. Yeah, so the Fed cut rates by 25 basis points, and going into this week, the market sold off. Part of it was because worries about like AI bubble, but also part of it was because Jerome Powell he said it's not we're not certain for another rate cut in December, so that also caused some
that
bearishness.
was huge. I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up because anytime the market doesn't know what's happening, it's going to drop. So the fact that it's uncertainty on the December rate cut, people got scared. They thought it was definitely a shoe-in for the December rate cut, but I think it'll happen anyway. Problem is that the Jerome Powell's not getting enough data because the government shut down. So not really sure what to do in terms of a next rate cut. But one thing is for certain: Jerome Powell's days are numbered. And when the new Fed chair comes in, you better believe Trump is going to have him cutting rates like you won't believe. So even though we may not get the December rate cut, I think we still will. We're going to get some rate cuts next year. I think Fed Powell's last day is like May or something, March or something. So just the anticipation of that, people are going to buy into the market. So
Yeah, Jerome Powell's done. Yeah, and Trump definitely wants to cut rates a lot more.
yeah, Absolutely. So,
for sure.
okay.
But yeah, that's all we got for this market update.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.